And welcome back to another GACC podcast where we're going to be discussing games, anime, computers, and collectibles, but not necessarily all those in one week. I am still your host, Harrison, and to my left...
Hi, I'm Faust.
And to my right...
I am Jack from JackTheRipoff.
And we are going to end up discussing the things for this last week, and we got to start with a new sport!
Boobs and butts.
Yeah, boobs and butts. So yes, most people will probably say this calls back to that famous Hayao Miyazaki statement of anime was a mistake. That seems to be the thing that gets brought up more often than not. But according to Kotaku, the fans of the anime Keijo, which is this one that has been making waves lately, anime where basically anime girls, women, play a sort of a game called it's like an in-pool sumo game where they use their boobs and butts to try and push each other off of a platform
into the water.
No hands are allowed.
And this is presented straight. Like this is not like, you know, it is fan service at the highest level.
Oh, absolute fan service. But when is most anime not fan service? I can only name a few that aren't.
Otherwise, it is presented rather straight and sort of a send up of most of the other combat style animes, your Bleaches and Naruto's and stuff like that. But apparently, at least in Portugal, they are merrily registering participants for Keijo training sessions and actually turning this into a sport.
Yeah. Like they actually have a big, basically it looks like a blown up sumo arena on the water. And so you have this floating raft that women are trying to push each other off of with their hips and their butts and their boobs. So
this is just marvelous.
So you have to shove your opponents off of floating rafts, just like in the anime. You cannot use your arms, hands, legs, feet, or head.
Yep.
So it does have to be boobs or butts, essentially.
And the funny thing is like this whole anime is supposed to be like a whole lampoon of like the whole fighting thing and everything with fan service, of course. But
like the image I just scrolled down to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that people flat out looked at it as, oh, you know, this is actually feasible. And the women are all for it.
Yeah, I mean, more power to you, women.
They are the ones signing up, going, yes, this is a women's sport.
In a sense, it is a female-only sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that they even if guys were to try and enter into this kind of thing, they don't exactly have the necessary equipment.
I have boobs and a butt. I identify as a female. I'm going to go try out.
Okay.
I'll wear a onesie.
So go to our GoFundMe to send him to Portugal. So
I don't know. I feel like I should go. I have the bigger ass.
Well,
I'm working on catching up to you.
Got to get them squats in.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I'll call you Bob. Make sure you get bitch tits.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm just gonna leave this image up. This is like the greatest thing to watch.
Yeah,
you can't watch.
All you see is just an ass going in at like Mach 3 speed,
straight into cleavage.
Yep, and then the Keijo ramp just. Please put in that GIF in the video.
No,
can't. Well, technically, we're a family-friendly podcast. Technically,
we let a few.
Well, then share it on the Twitter.
But you know,
yeah, we'll put it out there somewhere. go check us out on Twitter. Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Yeah, is that at Jenny_Fedora?
Something like that. I guess. Yeah. I mean,
just look up Jenny Fedora. You'll find it.
You'll find it.
Yeah, there's not too many Jennies and Fedoras unless it's Jenny McCarthy. But I was so amazed to see that come out, you know, as a legitimate thing.
It starts now sumo. I mean, it is a Japanese sport, the actual sumo thing, and that, I mean, it's a very respectable sport. It's not just about
it's a very honorific sport.
Yeah, I mean, there's a massive amount of skill and a amount of culture to it.
Yeah.
So seeing it brought into this light is a little damning to the Japanese culture and anime in general. Like a lot of more traditional,
almost insulting.
Yeah, just a bit insulting. Now that said, I do want to point out that there is another form of sumo that I find massively entertaining, and it is off the same kind of vein as like the robot combat that we used to see in Vegas, back like it's where the kind of special effects people will go and make the robots that just beat the crap out of each other in an arena.
That's still a show at times.
That's still a show at times, and there were various spin-offs and other things that happened to it. But lately, there's been Japanese robots that do Japanese sumo robots.
What?
And they are. It is not what you're thinking. It's not some big, powerful robots trying to push each other out of the ring. The ring itself is no bigger than this table. And the robots are tiny, and they move fast. Like it's like they're. It's not. I don't think
I think I've seen a video. Someone edited that.
Try to flip each other out.
Yeah, I've seen one like that where like they started all of a sudden like you see the robot here, all of a sudden just, just right. I was like, what?
And they're moving fast enough. I'm almost thinking that it's not even that there are human operators in control. I shudder to think
they're AI. They're
AI
based.
programs. So you have to program the robot to do what you need it to do.
Oh my
You'll see
God,
them
that's
because they'll sit there. They'll move in little spurts trying to like capture and track and find the opponent, and that's when they attack. So it's an AI based robot sumo battle.
That I would watch. I would seriously watch it.
That actually, yeah. So okay, that's the gift then that I saw then, and oh my God, I would totally watch that.
Definitely, we need to. I want to see more of that. As much as I like watching boobs and butts. Like that's the kind of thing that I'm like fascinated
Why not
by.
boobs, butts, and robots?
Yeah,
Well,
hell yeah.
You know, this is all just a natural evolution of the WWE divas.
True.
It's just going to the water instead. And actually, I think this one has more class behind it because they're wearing actual real swimsuits versus not bikinis. Yeah, the divas, you know, they're all boobs and butts with their moves anyways.
Oh, they show so much skin.
Yeah, so I think, you know, America did it first. The Portuguese are doing it right.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I have to say I did kind of fall out with wrestling after the WWF with the great names that keep getting evoked as far as like con visits and stuff are concerned. So, you know, Jake the Snake, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, of course, Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan. Like that's when I watched wrestling. And that was before, you know, Ultimate Warrior's famous meltdown or even...
Mankind fell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
And died.
Oof.
So, I mean, that in my mind was the golden era of wrestling. And it's since been resurging... and kind of, you know, still has a rather avid following.
I mean,
has never lost a following.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson got back into WWE recently.
Did he? Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, you know, the guy is having a rather solid career.
Oh, the dude is making a killing right now.
He's an amazing force on the internet, force for good.
Oh, absolutely.
In general, and just a very positive person. So more power to him if he ends up taking that back to wrestling and bringing back a little bit more to it. The other thing that recently happened in wrestling that I found kind of like another sort of milestone was the Undertaker stepping down.
Yeah, he retired. That was
big news.
That's the end of an era.
Yeah,
it was the end. The dude was in there for so long.
So,
yeah.
I mean, you know, American wrestling, even before the whole debacle where they said it's all scripted and everything, you know, which kind of shattered the
whole image of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's still a great thing, and I'm glad that I was in on it when it was still, the pageantry was just still believable and fresh.
Yeah,
and alive.
Well, you know, there's other things that people wish had pageantry and was fresh and alive.
Yeah.
Such as the Pokemon Go Festival.
Oh, that, as you referred to it before we started recording, the dumpster fire of a fest.
Yeah.
That's like the phrase of the year for 2017.
Is dumpster fire?
Dumpster fire.
Oh, that was
It makes sense.
2016.
You know, I mean, you know, it started in 2016, but that's getting thrown around a lot in 2017. But this time it actually is rather apt. So Pokemon Go Fest happened, was a thing. They're relating it a lot of aspects of it to the Fire Festival that was famously a huge, horrible mess.
Yeah.
Because apparently Pokemon Go Fest was supposed to be the big drop of new aspects to the Pokemon Go lineup.
They releasing legendary Pokemon, and this was supposed to be the event to be able to work together to unlock so that people could capture these legendary Pokemon.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, so from what it was explained to me, some of the issues were being the like the booths were too small for the number of people trying to get in.
The event venue.
Yeah, the actual venue itself was too small.
Yeah, for a game that was such a phenomena worldwide, it's like they planned for like this tiny local crowd to show up, and I mean, people were buying tickets off of eBay for way over the asking price.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, because I get it. When Pokemon Go first launched, it had its huge hype, and then it dropped off quick once they realized this really isn't as great as they promised it would be. So maybe they were kind of catering to that and thought, well, if it got such bad reviews, maybe we won't get as big of a show on this.
It still had a huge following. It really does. It's just you don't have every single person playing it now. It's dropped from their it dropped like 80% of their player base, but that player base is still playing it.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
80%, yeah, 80% of the world's population is still a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Or 20% even. One-fifth of the world's population is still
That's
a lot of people.
And and that's the thing too. It's like, even though the game itself might have been a bust for a lot of people, for those like diehard Pokemon fans, and there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah.
They were still very much a part of the game.
Well, and there's still even a core member of the player base, membership of the player base that are people who just like playing that game specifically. They might not be involved in Pokemon at all. I am one of those people where I will go back and play Pokemon Go specifically, as opposed to any other Pokemon game, because I like the idea of getting outside and walking around and exploring new areas, and being out at different times of the day, and the fact that the eggs hatch because you're walking. Yeah. So it promotes some sort of physical activity. And it is essentially just a further incentive on top of a fitness tracker or something like that.
I wonder if anybody's actually going to be paying attention to how awful this AR was for something that could be such a great success, and is going to be, changing things around to make sure that AR is better in the future when they release a game like this. So it's, the cell phone towers got saturated. The only other time I've really heard about this year with conventions or what happened during, 9/11.
Yeah.
Is everybody was trying to use their cell phones at once, and the towers could not handle it. And so people crashed. And then they have a lack of servers, and so people still couldn't all get on at the same time.
The infrastructure wasn't there. People who did show up, they could not play the game.
Yep.
They couldn't even log in, and if they did get in, there was no guarantee that it was actually going to function properly.
Yeah, exactly. It was just so overloaded.
And there was no real way for the company to respond to this. And unfortunately, they operated under some sense of delusion, because the CEO still stepped out on stage for Niantic, and he got booed off stage.
Yeah,
rather hard.
And it's like, oh no, they're not booing. Oh,
they're excited.
They're excited. Oh no, it was.
No, they were booing.
Oh no, they're booing.
Those aren't the happy pitchforks and torches.
No.
So,
oh my goodness,
that was a major thing that kind of just blew up on the internet. But thankfully, just like Pokemon Go, it blew up on the internet and then faded away.
Yeah, exactly.
So they ended up refunding tickets. There was people griping about being in line for like 3 hours not getting in, or even longer. Lines like a mile around the block, essentially, or around a couple blocks just to get into the small part.
Yeah, if I walked up to something like that and I saw the line going on, I was like, nah.
And I think they gave them like $100 worth of in-game credits.
Which is essentially them saying, we're going to lose this much as far as the market is concerned, so we might as well just hand it out now.
Yeah. And I don't even think it's equivalent to $100 in real U.S. cash, but it's we give $100 worth of credits essentially in the game to buy things like candies that are made out of other dead Pokemon.
Well, rarer candy that you can't, because in order to get the candy, you have to turn in the Pokemon. Some Pokemon are so hard to get at all. And then you need the candy to level them up.
Yep.
And, you need to make sure you get a good one. There is so much theory crafting going on around this game. The other thing you can get is the incubators for the eggs that make them hatch faster or with less walking or less effort.
Yeah.
Or just have more eggs there kind of getting ready to hatch. So, and then buying the eggs themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, but every aspect of this game is purchasable in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a shame, because what's the other game that Niantic did before this?
Ingress.
Yeah. So basically, Niantic is probably the leader in good augmented reality games. And I'm quite surprised right now that they are bombing Pokemon so bad. But Niantic had problems with Ingress when it first started too. But it's one of those things you would think they would have figured out by now. I mean, because, well,
the term Pokemon itself, I mean, it sends sort of a small ripple through the minds of a lot of people, even people who don't even play the game.
Yeah.
Or people who picked up the game and then put it down because, there was a lack of development, a lack of actual releases or any further progress within that game.
And like you can only get so far with new stuff, and then suddenly it's just the same thing.
And people are going to be entertained for only so long. I mean, once you've caught all of the Pokemon, you don't really, and some people don't want to do the gym structure or want to, there's no way to battle other people. There was no way to trade with other people and get the ones that you couldn't catch quite easily. So there was a lot of fall off because people were just not feeling engaged enough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you would think though that they would have figured out from all their past pilots and everything, and it's weird seeing the same thing happen with Niantic that we see a lot of other game developers go through, like World of Warcraft. Every time they release an expansion, the servers get hit so hard.
Oh yeah,
because over the time of the current XPack, it loses a lot of player base because people have gone through and hit some magical wall where they've seen all the content they can possibly see, and they can't really facilitate seeing anything further, or they've seen all of the in-game content and don't really want to bother getting the best in slot, blah blah blah.
Exactly.
Raids. And then the new XPack drops.
Yep.
And all those people come back.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you have server wait times of like an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which Blizzard has gotten a lot better on, but even
how many XPacks has Blizzard delivered?
all of them.
All the X packs. But Niantic's oversold the venue and everything. I mean, it's
that was the major thing. That was the where they kind of probably should have known something was going to happen and done something about it, was the fact that they oversold that badly.
Yeah.
And that they had this many people show up for a venue that probably couldn't support that. So, I mean, there was so much as far as like misstep or misappropriation that went on with this whole thing that it really is, you hope they learned from this lesson. And if they didn't, then that's going to end up hurting the game.
Yep.
And for all of the hype and everything when the game first dropped, you kind of thought this was a lifelong pursuit for Niantic CEO and development. That he even created Ingress and helped create the GPS, like the Google Maps grid, to start having the technology available to create this game. Yep. So, if this is your life's work, show it. Like, at this point, we're not seeing it.
No, not at all.
Yeah, so it's a wonder he got out of that event alive. So, and other things that are quite surprising though, Microsoft Paint is going to get killed off with the next creator update.
This whole thing, I have a bit of a rant about this whole thing.
Yeah, like why would they get rid of Paint?
Paint was around, like with a version of Paint was around even before Windows was Windows.
Yeah.
And when Windows came out, Paint.exe was one of the packages that was bundled with it.
Yep.
And that's where this whole thing got started. If you want to really have a good history about Microsoft Paint, go watch LGR's thing, because he put out a thing about it. Lazy Game Reviews on YouTube.
Yep.
He did a really good thing about it and kind of brings you up to speed about it and everything like that. Now, that all said and everything like that, number one, first and foremost, Microsoft is just not absolutely killing Paint 100%.
Correct.
They are not getting rid of it. It is still something that is going to be available. They are not going to just forcefully uninstall it from your system. For new installs of Windows, it is out there as a separate download. So if you do want the old classic Microsoft Paint, you can go and get it. And they're going to probably continue to make that available in some capacity indefinitely.
Yeah. It's going to be coming out through the Microsoft Store now, just like Solitaire did. I mean, so basically we're seeing these pieces of software that have been bundled in as staples of Windows forever, such as Solitaire and Paint. They're going over to the Microsoft App Store. And maybe that's part of the strategy to get more people to actually look at that Windows App Store, because I know I
barely look at it.
I have no interest in doing that, because everything I do with my Windows, doesn't have to do with Windows.
Yeah. And so it's just like nobody uses the App Store. Everybody uses Steam.
Yeah, everybody uses Steam for their video games. Everybody goes looking at like download.com or CNET or, if you're smart, to find the executables and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the fact is they've had this infrastructure in place where third-party companies could release these executable programs developed for that operating environment.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it's been since 3.1. I mean, they've gone through certain eras where they have tried to have a store structure. They have tried to make it so that Windows programs were more Windows. The infamously bad games for Windows Live.
Yes.
The failed attempt at Windows RT.
Yeah.
Which was sort of a very dumbed down version of Windows 8.1.
Yeah, it was
8
like,
or 8.1.
Yeah, it was basically...
It was a tablet OS.
It was almost like a hybrid between the mobile phone Windows and Windows 10.
And in the realm of not learning from mistakes, now we have Windows S being a thing, which is the Windows Store option where all you can do is install stuff as a security feature. You can only install stuff from the Windows Store. Now, I will clarify, at least with current Windows S on the Surfaces, since I've had the opportunity to look at the Surface tablet, that the ability to run executables is a setting on Windows S, where you can do an upgrade to a full Windows installation and actually run those executables. Currently, it's a free upgrade. Yeah. So, you can get Windows S and still flesh that back out.
Yeah. And the thing about them killing off Paint now is not that long ago, they came out with the Windows 10 Creator update. They came out with MS Paint 3D.
Yep.
So what's going to happen to that? Is that going to get killed off too?
No, that's part of their 3D push.
Okay.
And that's a totally separate app from regular Paint.
Right.
And essentially, I think what they're trying to do is say that that Paint 3D is going to bring those kinds of early MS Paint capabilities into a more modern creator sense, so that you can do some of the 2D work that you could normally do with Paint. You can do that in Paint 3D, but you can also take that and wrap it into a 3D space and do something further with those tools and capabilities.
I wonder how many people currently use Paint 3D.
Yeah.
I definitely don't.
Yeah.
I've poked at it like once or twice.
I poked at it like after release and went, yeah, okay.
It's cool and all, but we already have Blender. We already have all these other, very
GIMP.
refined, very well done 3D modeling softwares.
Oh, look, I made two balls collide.
The thing about it is, like, one of the things that got posted on a certain forum that we frequent currently was a news story about GoPro saying that what they think is going to be the thing to keep their brand fresh and new is to release a simple video editor. And in a lot of ways, this goes for any kind of the simplistic sort of like creators and everything like that.
GoPro Studio, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
No, I've tried. Okay.
No, this is one for the phone.
I have that.
That's the one. Yeah.
They have Studio for both mobile and PC.
Yeah.
And I've tried both of them, and let me tell you, I am thoroughly not impressed. I would much rather. And here's the kicker about it too.
Wait, let me ask you this.
Okay.
Which is better, Windows Movie Maker or GoPro Studio?
Absolutely Windows Movie Maker.
Wow, you hear that, GoPro?
Absolutely Movie
Wow.
Maker. Because, first of all, you can't import the video from your GoPro to any other software. It still has to go through Studio, and then you have to re-export it as a usable file for other video editing software. But the problem with that is when you export it in, obviously it's going to be an uncompressed file, so it's going to be enormous. You better have the hard drive space for it. Second of all, when it goes to export the videos into the Studio software, first of all, it takes freaking forever to get through there.
Large file size.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's another problem. Because the files are so large, 9 times out of 10, it's going to fail the export, and you have to re-export and wait for another 3 hours.
Oh, jeez.
And if you guys ever frequent my channel on JackTheRipoff on both VidMe and YouTube, I have footage of me using my GoPro whenever I'm at the Ninja Park gym, or recently I had some footage of me out on a lake with my grandfather, and I still haven't gotten to that because of how much of a pain in the ass it is to get those files exported into Studio and then export it again out of Studio.
What's interesting is hearing that GoPro's trying to go more towards this when YouTube, who's a king of content, essentially, when they had tried to make a web-based app for simple video editing.
And had it in their back end for the creators.
Yeah.
And it was,
And they're killing it off.
Yeah, they're getting rid of it because nobody was using it.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder why.
Yeah.
And they tried to promote it even using it on the phones. And nobody was using it,
So here's the thing, developers. At least from a creator standpoint, simplified tools do nothing but discourage creators.
Yep.
And that's because the simplicity comes in the wrong form.
Yep.
All right?
Yes.
You don't want tools that are so dumbed down and stupid that they can't do what creators want them to do.
If you can't get the effect that you want, drop the software because it's unusable at that point.
That's exactly what creators do. That's the reason why I think Microsoft's kind of pushing people away from Paint, is because Paint is, there are people who will use it and have some sort of talent or skill at using it to do great pixel art, wonderful drawings, and works within it. They're working within the limitations of that software, and they identify that as a limited software that they can work within.
Yep.
They can move to something like GIMP, Photoshop, Corel Draw, or what have you. Psy Paint tool or something like that is very popular in the art crowd. And all of these tools are designed to make that, they're complex tools, but they try and make the use of that tool simple enough that people don't have to do a lot of headache to do what they want. But they're complex enough to do what they want.
Exactly.
So,
and that's what I like. So I use a video editing software aside from the Sony Vegas one, the one that I got. I also
Movie
use another
Studio.
one called Wondershare Filmora.
Yep.
And what I like about that is when you get the license for it, it provides the option you can go to simple video editor or full feature video editor. And even the full feature video editor is not that complex, but it's complex. It's just complex enough I can still get the effect that I want and not have to worry about it being such a dumbed down editing feature that, it's just going to be these stupid little edits.
Well, that's an interesting thing about that, even because you mentioned Sony, or now it's Magic's Movie Studio. Is their latest version, Magic's Movie Studio 14, they got rid of the simple editor that they had made in Movie Studio 13. So 13 Advanced Mode is the same as 14. They just got rid of the simple part. And that simple part was there for touch screens. It's just they realized it doesn't work.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's basically my thing, is if you're going to make things simple, make the tool complex, make the use simple.
Exactly.
Do your best to educate creators and understand where they're coming from, if they're familiar with programs or not, and being able to show that out. One of the greatest features in Magic's Movie Studio, in both 13 and 14, is the how do I help.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you can go and look at a few frequently asked questions about how do I create a crossfade or how do I add in an effect, and it'll show you a basic tutorial on that, and then you can play around with that as a creator and be able to do that. But limiting somebody's creative ability by basically saying, hey, we're going to automate this part and make it, and that's all you can do for this aspect. That's the only way you can do this. This is the only way you can do a crossfade. And if all it was a star fade, and you can't break out of that without going to a different program, people are going to go to a different program. They're not going to use your software.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Movie Studio does it right, even with the how do I, or like, okay, let's plug in this crossfade, or let's plug in this blurred gauze, is they end up saying, here's a default setting. This is what it can look like. And then from there, you can tweak it. So even your most basic person can go, let's do a fade out crossfade, or let's do a degauze effect here, and there's a default value, and a lot of people starting out will go, I'm comfortable with this default value because this is what I wanted. And then as they get more advanced, they can start to do trickery with it.
The default's cool, but now let's try and throw this in with it.
And trying new things is the very important part of the creator space.
Absolutely, because obviously when you start off, like when I started off YouTube, Windows Movie Maker. That was me the whole way through, because I didn't have all the advanced software. I didn't have anything that allowed me to put my face cam in the video. But that didn't matter because it had what I wanted at the time. But as I continued to learn more about it, that's when I was like, okay, now it's time to kind of step it up a notch, because if I don't, my stuff is going to become stale.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And that's even Movie Maker did what it needed to do versus the GoPro software.
But the other thing is, like, keeping things simplified on the use aspect means that you can have sort of a standardized view of the current tool set and have it be something that people are familiar with, even if they haven't used that program before but have used other programs.
Yep.
My first initial, education in video editing, dating it a little bit, even though it was near the end of this life cycle and it was with a church that didn't really update its tech at all. My first usage of video editing was like Amiga's Video Toaster, in like the mid to late 90s.
I vaguely remember this.
Yeah, and it was the same thing that you see in video editing kind of stuff. So you had the video preview, you had your effects there, you had the assets there, and then you had the timeline. And you had to arrange everything on the timeline and figure out the cuts and where things are going to go and the text you were going to overlay and stuff like that. And I had the benefit of being able to sit down at that and have somebody who was familiar with that program show me that program and what goes into the editing, and watch them edit show after show after show, week after week after week, and see the kinds of things that happen, and know that there's this guy, Blender Guru, does this great educational series on the Blender program and everything like that. And he points out that with any tool and any kind of creative thing, 80% of the work is done with 20% of the program. And that's the exact same thing with Amiga's Video Toaster all the way up to Magic's Movie Studio 14, and even the big name stuff. It's all the same kind of standard thing: assets, effects, preview, timeline. And the major thing you're going to do in videos when you're editing it together, you're not going to do fancy fades and cuts. The text overlay is always going to be kept very simple and unobtrusive. You're never going to really need these things on a movie to movie basis.
Exactly.
What you're going to need are crossfades, jump cuts, black fades, and being able to make sure that the movie itself flows. And the best editing is the editing you don't see. You never get a sense that this video has been edited at all.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's either you make it blatant as hell, and that just kind of completely throws people, or you make it so that nobody notices at all.
Exactly.
And
that's what I like, is that seamless transition.
Mm-hmm. And that's 20% of any of those video editing programs. So yeah, they have all of these great these great filters for changing the video quality, or messing with the picture quality enough that you can make it look a little bit better than it was. But you're never going to really use that unless you need to in some sort of post sets.
Yeah.
But if you have a good source file and you put it into the studio, fades here and there, cuts here, crossfades here and there, and not really much else.
Yeah.
Well, in the realm of doing things right, we have Blizzard back in the news again because of Overwatch. They have Doomfist is officially out as of July 27th.
But unfortunately, our particular fan favorite actor did not get the cut as the voice actor for Doomfist.
No Terry Crews.
Yep. No Terry Crews.
It sucks too, because he was all about that on his Twitter and everything. He was always so high about wanting to be Doomfist, but he didn't get it. It's like, I mean, come on, you got to think of it though, guys. Like, how would you have loved to be playing in a game against Doomfist, and then all of a sudden you just hear off in the distance, Meteor Strike!
Yeah, that's about as bad as it's high noon. But the thing is the guy they brought in does very well for the role.
Oh no,
too.
he's an excellent voice actor, and the fact that yes, he they were looking for someone with the was it South African is where Doomfist is from, the South African accent, and he fits the bill perfectly.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I mean, you would know, working in voice acting as much as you do, you would know that when it comes to getting cast for a role or something like that, it's how much you bring that role to life.
Absolutely. Whenever a director is looking for a voice for their character, it's not about how many voices can that voice actor do? It's about, does his voice match my character? Does it match what I envision it to be?
Yeah, I mean, Blizzard would basically have to make a character that's personality is designed around.
He would have
Terry
to be
Crews.
like an American character, someone who's high energy.
So, I mean
and because you think Terry Crews, and it doesn't matter what he's been on or even movies. Even look at Brooklyn Nine-Nine. His character still brings over some of the stuff from the Old Spice commercials.
President Camacho.
Yeah.
Overly macho, loud, boisterous, very big presence.
Yep. And that's the thing, is if they did have Terry Crews there, they did have him audition for the part because there was such a big internet buzz for it, because he was so outspoken about wanting to do it. They brought him in as part of the audition process.
Yep.
So he got that far because of us, because of Overwatch fans, because of Terry Crews himself. They went and they listened to him, but they didn't just give it to him.
Yeah.
They had this character in mind. They wanted to make sure that character was treated with the respect and with the kind of importance that they deserve.
And that's the thing too, like the whole character of Doomfist himself, he is one of the main council members of Talon. Like, he is like one of the head honchos. Like, you a lot of people kind of thought that Reaper was kind of like the main face of Talon. No, there is this has been confirmed by the developers of Overwatch themselves, that there is an entire council of villains within Talon, and he is one of the main council members. So, you put that in mind, he is on a very high pedestal. Like, this is a guy that commands respect, and a guy that, when he walks into a room, it goes silent.
Well, that's the good thing also about Blizzard, is that they have enough respect for their characters that they will not bend to the will. They will flex a little, but they will not necessarily bend
They'll have a little
to
bit
the
of
will
fun about it.
To the will of the community. Because obviously, pretty much every Overwatch character is like, Doomfist should be Terry Crews, and there's a lot of disappointment.
Yeah.
But when they explain it, and you hear that character and how it actually fits,
it makes you love the game more.
And that's the thing too, like his background. Like, I kind of see Doomfist as sort of an anti-hero, because the reason he is he is fighting against Overwatch and causing all this chaos and mayhem is because he legitimately believes that mankind will not improve if there is not struggle. So he is there to provide that struggle to help usher mankind into its next era.
Which is a very good way of storytelling and very good motivation to have for a character that's not necessarily an evil character per se, but still commits
It's
acts
a lot
of
like
evil.
Magneto. It's kind of like Magneto.
Yeah.
You know, he all he ever wanted was for mutants not to be expunged. You know, he believed that they very much deserve a place in this world, and he will kill the mortals, the humans, if that is necessary.
And when you hear about Magneto's origin, and him having to go through the concentration camps and during the World War and everything like that, and seeing what's happening to the mutants and saying that it's history repeating itself, and being prepared to fight because that's the only thing that he knows to do against that. Like,
Exactly.
there's no negotiation. They want to destroy us, so we must destroy them first. Like, that kind of motivation is great. It sets up that kind of thing. There's an anime called Blue Sub 6 that kind of does the same thing, where the major bad guy has this great monologue near the end about how he just saw what was going on with the world and the way that what we were doing to the environment and everything like that, and he destroys the environment. He destroys the planet and says that to the world that I was being told to promote and to try and save, I said no, and destroyed it for the sake of the planet or for the sake of saving my children. Yeah, the creatures that he had created.
Yeah.
So it's having those motivations there, and something like Doomfist. Yeah, Terry Crews would have been great as a Terry Crews character in a
maybe a comedic relief, but Doomfist is not a comedic character.
They wanted weight behind this character.
Yeah,
they wanted the right voice. They wanted the right character. And, that's not to say that celebrities can't do that. Disney is famous for bringing in the right celebrity to do the right part.
It's just not Terry Crews, though.
Yeah.
He's a presence, but he's not the right kind of presence.
Definitely.
Right. Speaking of presences, all those Roomba vacuums that people have been getting.
Oh yeah, I saw this. This is hilarious.
Presences in people's homes. Well, you know how they go around and they have to map out the space and everything like this, and you can talk over Wi-Fi with some of the more recent models to help things out.
Yeah.
By bouncing radar and everything, basically, or radio.
Keep in mind, these are like $600 devices on the low end. And, so this is the auspice is here that it can communicate wirelessly with the other one that you spent $600 or so on in your house.
Or you can use the app on your phone to tell them, go vacuum the house. Well, Roomba's thinking about starting to sell your data that is collected from these devices because it's spatial data. It's, how are rooms set up in houses. It's all just big data and data mining.
Okay.
So they're thinking about providing.
They want to sell your house layout.
Yeah. As part of the smart home initiative, such as, where are things in the house? What do people
own? What do they purchase?
Yep.
How do they lay things out? I mean, it could be, you get a Roomba and use it for a couple of weeks, and the next thing you know, you get an email saying your feng shui is off. You could consider moving your refrigerator to the living room or something like that. And
or it's like a camera catches, oh, hey, the dog came in through the house. The smart home goes, oh, hey, we should probably send in the vacuum after the dog. Which
is bad. I've heard horror story after horror story about Roombas going around after dogs have created messes.
Yeah.
That they are not meant to deal with that kind of thing.
No. And the thing is, too, is like, on a personal home security standpoint, knowing that someone out there knows the layout of my house, that doesn't make me very comfortable.
But that's the thing is, we're slowly allowing this to happen because of like smart home technology and things like this. We want things to come into our house to make things more convenient.
Yeah.
And the problem is every time you start to make things more convenient, you have to give up something.
Some form of security.
Yeah, or privacy. And that's one of those things. It's like, sure, you want the Roomba to go vacuum your house properly, get rid of dirt and things like that. But at the same case...
Well, this is after the fade out of the current debacle with Bose Bluetooth headphones, which were collecting listening data. They did not disclose this in any way, shape, or form. But if you had a headphone hooked up to your phone, it would collect data of what you were listening to, what YouTube videos you were watching, what music you were paying attention to, and then selling that data, sending it back to Bose so they could sell it to companies saying this is a way of collecting metrics. Both
Yes.
did not disclose that this information was being collected. They did not disclose that this information was being sent out or that your phone was being used.
And if it was something as petty as like what you listen to and what videos you watch, you would think like that wouldn't be a big deal to disclose.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, but like that doesn't make me feel like privately violated.
But it does make some people feel privately violated because it's like, I don't want Google Play to be trying to sell me more songs because of the fact that I listened on my MP3s that I keep actually on my phone to Eric Clapton. And so it starts promoting the next Eric Clapton album.
Yeah, let's say, you have your normal listening habits on your apps or whatever, and you start, and you have the stuff that you listen to. They're not gonna ping on that. But for some reason, you get a wild hair up your ass, and you go looking for, I don't know, like the new Nine Inch Nails or the new, Adele album or something like that. And you just listen to one track off of that album. It's not part of your normal listening repertoire or anything like that. Maybe you have a girl who's interested in that kind of music and you just decide to check it out or something. So you listen to one song. We'll go with Adele. You listen to one song by Adele out of, your entire industrial metal whatever collection or anything like that. Next thing you know, every single web search, every single ad that pops up, every single spam email is just, Adele, you like Adele. Here's Adele's new album. Here's the latest thing. She's going to concerts. She's on tour. Here's a news, and it's like all of a sudden this thing is just forced into your life.
Yeah, next thing it's just like, whoa, slow down.
Yeah.
Let me make this 10 times worse. Let's say you decide to listen to Da Vinci's Notebook, and you decide for all your friends who've never heard it to let them hear the song, Enormous Penis.
Mm-hmm.
So now what do you get served up?
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of dicks. Or maybe Viagra, or
yeah. I mean, it's just the companies are always looking for a way to say, they want to show you stuff that you're more likely to buy.
Yeah.
But it's all the sales pitch. And once again, I'm from a generation that hates sales pitches. We absolutely detest being approached and being forced into some sort of buyer's dialogue, some form of like, hey, you should buy this or you should pay money for this. Like, no, I go looking for what I want to buy. That's what I'm going to buy.
Exactly.
I go looking for it. You can make it available. You can say that it's there, but you keep on forcing it in front of me. I'm not going to buy it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's the thing there. It's like, I mean, with the internet, we're almost so tuned off to like ads.
Mm-hmm.
It's like even if I've gone on Amazon researching a new product or something, I think I might look at it. And then all of a sudden, through my Google page feeds for other sites, it's like, oh, hey, there's these things on Amazon that are on sale that you've been looking at.
It's like, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm quite outspoken in that, even though we do make ad revenue off of this, that we do put these things out here and that there are advertisements that are played in front of our videos. Yeah. I still block advertisements and scripts through my browsers. Mm-hmm. I would block it on my mobile devices if something like that became available. And that is because these things are unsecure. They're from companies that don't care about you as a person. You're a number, you're a demographic, you're a metric. And they are designed psychologically from the ground up at their inception to hack you, to make you feel inadequate, to make you feel like you do not have enough, to make you waste your money, and to make you feel like your life is wasted without their product.
And this is
an abusive relationship.
And this is what big data mining and infographic stuff like this, like Roomba or Bose or anything are trying to do. And, smart homes in general, this is some of the nefariousness behind it. It's like, how much are you willing to give up to be convenienced, basically?
Exactly.
So, in giving things up, I wonder.
Again, with the pinky.
Yes.
Dang it, Dr. Evil.
Yeah.
I wonder what you all think about the Wisconsin company that is deciding it's going to be one of the first U.S. companies that's going to be implanting microchips in its employees. For use on the job.
So we did talk about this a little bit before we started recording this, and it was Harrison, you did explain to me a little bit about this isn't going to be something that is going to keep track of what you do on a daily basis. This is specifically for being able to get into certain checkpoints that you would need some form of identification or like some kind of a chip on a card in order to gain access to. So instead of having to continuously keep an eye on that specific card, now you have the microchip. You get to a certain checkpoint, it detects the microchip, like, hey, you're allowed to get in here.
Yeah, so it's going to be 3 Market Square up in River Falls, Wisconsin. They're going to be offering voluntarily employees to implant microchips, and where they're going to put it is in the fleshy area between the thumb and your index finger in here.
Yeah,
and it's going to allow the employees to pay for food and drinks in the company's break room, open security doors, and log into their computers without any special cards or passwords.
And honestly, that on a security sense is very helpful. Take me and Harrison, for example. For us to get to our work, we need special identification. For us to log on our computers, we need an ID card with a chip on it to read, hey, this guy has access to get onto this computer, so we're going to let him in.
And I worked in an environment that wanted to provide an illusion of security for the employees, wanted to make it so that only employees could get in, because it was a call center where, we handled sensitive cases. We handled irate people, and if they found out where we are, we want to make sure they can't get into the building.
Exactly.
Right. This was back during the time of the Famously, where somebody showed up to a Blizzard call center with a shotgun, and started firing at the building.
Oh, jeez.
So,
Well, here's the thing. And this is what I really found interesting, is because they just talked about this on KKOB talk radio here in Albuquerque.
hey guys.
Hey, and basically they also posted up on their Facebook, and they basically, just the article headline says, Wisconsin company is implanting microchips into employees in August. And like, what do you guys think? And everybody in that Facebook feed was like, no, I would never do this. I would quit my job before I was allowed to do this. And I think I was the only one in there that basically presented back, like, first off, number one, this is voluntary. The employees are not required to do this.
Voluntary with incentives.
Yeah.
But voluntary nonetheless.
It's voluntary with convenience.
Yeah.
Okay. But here's the thing is, as you're saying, Jack, from a security standpoint, like in, I don't know, our jobs, where we have already signed contracts where we have given up our security to protect the average American citizen. Okay. The ability to not have to worry about maintaining positive control.
Yeah.
Because now this chip is on us at all times. We don't have to worry about getting that ID stolen. You don't have to worry about inadvertently leaving it at your desk. You don't have to leaving it at home.
Oh, I've had a lot of moments where I misplaced my common access card, my military card that gets me on base.
Yeah.
I've had times where I've misplaced that, and I about near had a damn heart attack.
That's the worst feeling in the world. And that's the thing. It's like, and these things get stolen out of people's cars because people are inherently lazy. It's like, okay, I want to make sure I don't lose this. I'm going to make sure I'm going to leave it in my car so that way it's there in the morning. The car gets broke into. Now somebody has somebody's secure credentials.
Yep.
It's going to be a lot harder to steal it off somebody's body. And on top of it, let's say, you get up in the morning, you're doing your routine, you get distracted by something because, like, the dog pukes in the middle of the floor.
Yeah.
Okay, so you forget to pick up your cart. Now you've driven 45 minutes to an hour to work on a secure facility. You hit that gate. You don't have your secure identification. You now have to call your boss and go, I left my card at home. And you have to drive back an hour, get the card, come into work 2 hours late.
Yep.
And admit that you're the kind of person who leaves that kind of thing lying around.
Yeah. And that's, and that's the thing is they want you to keep positive control over this sort of thing,
Exactly.
And a lot of people will forget and leave them in the card readers.
No one is perfect. You can have the most careful person ever. The person that, is always checking and double checking their person. But even they will make a mistake. Even they will leave something behind.
I will
and
admit
not
mistakes can be
realize
made.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because
it kind of
I'm letting these guys kind of exhaust their steam because I have a rebuttal.
yeah,
All right. Well, the last thing I'll say is the most that this does is that it helps kind of take out the human factor of this.
Yeah, it really does. From a security standpoint, because people are inherently lazy, is you have to sacrifice privacy to protect things. And so in this regard, I think in government agencies, secure facilities, sensitive places, and sure, you have the benefit of being able to just debit at the cafeteria without having to worry about your wallet or stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's fine there. And I understand it's all RF, ID, and Bluetooth based and everything like that. And, people are concerned about this stuff because of privacy. Because, yes, I saw the arguments like that. And sure, I can understand that too. But we have to be slightly reasonable here. And we have to hope that, it's not the nefariousness stuff, such as a company is going to force this into play, and then they're going to use it to track how long you're away from your bathroom or your desk for a bathroom break, or how many smoke breaks you take, or everything else like this.
So that's where I come in.
Yeah.
Basically, I've worked in some semi-secure environments, nowhere near governmentally secure,
Right.
or anything like that. Like no special levels, no background, no like really in-depth background checks or anything like that. So I understand that there's a whole mess of training that goes into making sure that your identification and your access is kept secure. I understand this completely. I've actually, been in a family that's worked in this kind of sector for a very long time. I probably have a dossier, and I've never even touched working with these guys.
Was it a Russian one?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Okay.
So, coming from my background, which is, growing up in heavy sci-fi, in seeing the kinds of cyberpunk or the kind of dystopian kind of worlds and everything like that, and coming from a sort of a tin hat wrapped around my head sort of thing, is going, this is how it starts. Okay, yeah, it sounds all great and convenient right now, and yes, it's in the name of security and the sacrifice that people in your kind of line of work have to make in order to maintain that security and maintain the safety of this nation and everything like that. But this is how it starts. It's voluntary with convenience becomes voluntary with incentive, becomes mandatory with exception, becomes mandatory. All right? This is the whole, what's that thing with the Star Wars, fear leads to anger, leads to hate kind of thing.
Yeah.
It all leads to a dark side kind of idea where all of a sudden you have a two-class kind of system. The people with the identification, the people without the identification. And once, first it's a convenience of security, then it comes with the convenience of lifestyle, where, now people have these things installed with their medical records, with their purchasing information to do tap to pay. We've already kind of gone that way with the cell phones and things like that. But what happens when it becomes, this is your level of citizenship. This defines the class that you can operate within. This defines the kind of jobs you can get. Here's a blue collar ID. Here's a white collar ID. When you graduate from college, do they just have you put your hand in a box and then that upgrades you to, now you can go and get the special jobs because you have the special education?
And I think that's where a lot of people are scared right now, is because basically you're talking about going full Gattaca.
Yeah,
at that point.
Like this is like you guys are talking like a decade down the line. I'm talking 30, 40, 50 years down the line.
Yeah, like way down the road.
But the thing is sure, sci-fi has broached this subject quite a bit, and I think it's where there's a lot of fear behind this.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that's like, okay, fine. Because my job means I sacrifice my privacy to ensure the freedoms of the average citizen, then at the same point, as much as I'm willing to make that sacrifice, I'm still going to probably end up arguing that if we're getting to a point where this is it and this is tracking for everybody, no, then you're a violation of privacy and everything. There are still going to be other places where it can be beneficial, and that's the weird thing. It's just.
Well, we just spoke at length in our previous story about how there are already companies out there that are willing to go to great lengths to make your vacuum cleaner spy on you.
Yeah.
That we have your headphones, anything that you connect to your phone is trying to gather metrics and send it back to companies so that they know what to sell to you. So now they want, and there's a very famous statement about something like J. Edgar Hoover or something, head of the FBI or some sort of thing, were saying there was no way we could ever convince everybody to carry around a tracking radio.
Yeah.
As convenient as that would be.
Yeah, guess what, everybody?
Now cell phones are the way of the day and the age.
Yeah.
It's like, so you're sitting there thinking there's no way we would ever get everybody installed with a chip that decides their access and their level of class and the kind of money they can make and what they can operate under.
Right.
And it denies them access here and it gives them access here, and the people without IDs are essentially homeless, or, as to quote the colloquial Shadowrun thing, sinless, which is essentially, you are a criminal regardless of committing any crime.
Right.
At that point.
Yeah.
So, it really does kind of, it creates a sense of dread in my mind that this is how it starts, that it becomes the kind of things where it's just so accepted that you don't notice there's a problem. So accepted that you don't even have the dialogue. You don't even have the conversation to say, how do we keep this safe? How do we keep this secure? How do we make sure that it doesn't violate the rights, the global rights of every citizen on this planet?
Well, and that's the moral responsibility of governments and of businesses. And sure, there are going to be people out there right now that are just going to go flat out, hell no, never. They will never ever do this.
And I'm the one who would say I'd be first in line to have a computer put in my head.
Yeah.
But to have a tag marked on me that decides my security level of access.
Right.
No, never.
But here's the thing is there's there's other benefits for this, such as in medical. It's one of the next places we're going to probably see this pop up, because let's say your medical information is implanted in one of these and it's stuck right here. Okay, so now all of a sudden, you're diabetic or you have epileptic seizures or something else like this that could be life-threatening, and you have an episode, and you are...
You know where they put it? Right here. So when they're checking your pulse, they'd have a reader on their finger, and it'd immediately pop up the information saying they're diabetic, epileptic.
No, that's too close to the artery, so you can make it explode.
You're saying that like it's a bad thing.
God.
Keep in mind, these are the companies. Don't trust the corporations. Fight the establishment.
Well, okay. So here's the thing. There'll be a lot of people that will still say no. But if it could mean the difference
between life and death,
because all of a sudden your medical information is there, you are incapacitated, you are with nobody else that understands your medical history, and the
they
ambulance
can't find any bands on you.
Yeah, you don't have any bands on you.
Or no life alert,
like they sell you, and that chip is able to be read by the medical and say, okay, this person's medical history is this, this, and this. We have to start this right away to be able to save them. That's the point where somebody goes, I want my privacy invaded because it's to save my life.
I want you to be able to save me.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's. And,
we have the concept of a living will. Where you sign this kind of thing that says, if I go out, don't bring me back.
Right.
And that's something that they can have access to.
And that's another thing too. Like they could just have it into their medical records. Like, this person does not wish to be brought back if they flatline, or hey, this person, we couldn't save him, but his medical records here show that he's an organ donor. So
let me bring up another side of this as well. So with the advent of tap to pay, and this is something that has in fact happened. Tap to pay is basically you put your payment information on your phone, and then it has that NFC in it that basically you just
near field communication.
Boop, and it pays. It debits your account. Don't need any cards or anything like that. It's just an agreement between you and your bank and the person at point of sale that the payment gets made. So with tap to pay becoming rather popular, and especially in big metropolitan areas, I think this was the New York subway system or something like that, managed to catch somebody who had purchased a portable sort of tap to pay payment processor.
Yep.
Had pre-programmed it to automatically debit the maximum amount that you can debit somebody without having to have them confirm the purchase, i.e. sign for it or anything like that.
Right.
It's like usually $20.
Yeah, $23 or something like that. And then all they had to do was get in the back of a subway train and just at rush hour and just shuffle their way up to the front and just like rub that thing over every single phone pocket or anything like that they could manage to get into.
Yeah.
And they ended up making something like $300 a car.
Wow.
Passing through those kinds of things. And that's just having that NFC stuff on your phone. What if that stuff is in your hands? Every time you shake hands with somebody, now you're exchanging ID information with them, or your security level or something like that.
The thing is you make that sound bad, because of what it is. But at the same point, this stuff has this has been going on for quite some time, because people counterfeit IDs, they steal your identities there and everything else. It's just the next evolution
it's just digital falsified documents.
Yeah. It's just the next. It's just.
What happens when that information can't be trusted?
Well, and that's the thing. Before you officially release this more publicly, obviously have your go-to counteractions should that happen.
Well, here's the thing: is really this is the first American company that's really moving to do this, and it's funny because it's even outside the government,
Yeah.
But this is something that, as I stated, this is something that's actually more popular in Europe right now. Yeah. So Europe is doing it more than the U.S. because we're all about our privacy and our rights and our freedoms in America.
You make that sound like a joke, but it is really important.
It is.
Of course it is.
Yeah. The thing about it is, right now, this is an American company making it voluntary with convenience, as you pointed out. But in Europe, especially places like maybe Eastern Europe, but and certain aspects of Asia, possibly, I could see that very well becoming something of a mandatory thing, depending upon your governmental level of operation. And it is very, very likely that these are the governments that are willing to violate rights and freedoms to say that this is exactly what you need. It's no longer a question of sacrificing your privacy. It's a forced sacrifice at that point.
Yeah.
This is something that could very well be. We have to push it upon the American public because the rest of the world's doing it, because they're willing to violate those rights or force it upon their people.
in Soviet Russia, privacy sacrifices you.
Yeah, you went there.
Man.
I can't
Yeah.
believe you went there.
I mean,
Oh,
what's
man.
a GACC podcast without a Russia joke?
Tired joke is tired.
Well, the funny thing is that's a showing your age joke too, because that's a Yakov Smirnoff.
Yeah.
You know.
Yakov Smirnoff, GPS, Family Guy. Yeah.
So
We had to point that out so you can go and search it.
yes.
Yeah.
But
Oh, Jesus.
do we have any little quick takes on anything real quick here?
I've got one thing I just want to touch on real fast is Overwatch League.
We talked about Overwatch earlier. Why didn't you get this in there?
Well, we were busy on another rant. This has nothing to do.
I had a lot of thunder
nothing to
to-
do with characters.
Okay.
This has nothing to do with the actual gameplay. Overwatch League is promising the base pay for players in the league $50K a year
If you make it to the league.
if you make it to the league.
Yeah.
Maybe I've been doing this whole gaming thing all wrong. Maybe I should just get back into competitive Overwatch and just ramp up my Junkrat game.
Well, have fun with carpal tunnel and back issues and everything from
no,
sitting
you
there
remember-
practicing 60 hours a week.
Remember 5 or 6 episodes ago, we covered exactly the kind of medical benefits that esports players are getting.
Yeah,
these
yeah.
days.
I'll just have all
Everything
the
from chiropractors to masseuses to physical therapy.
Yeah, you don't remember that?
covered by their benefits.
Yeah.
You know what?
I'm covered. I'm set.
We should get into the senior league.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, but see, the reason it caught my interest so much is because this is the coming age of esports. I have always been a person who supported the whole esports thing because I do consider it a sport. It is a talent that you can develop the longer you play, the more you practice. And, now in this time and age, they're starting to show that you can benefit from your skill in a game. It's just like any other sport, just a little less physical than others.
It's a lot more mental. But yeah, so that's the thing now, that at least there's a base salary cap, and that's good because it's going to start to set a precedence for the industry. I'm glad that Blizzard's being a leader in this area. And this is a social, what did I just say earlier? Social responsibility type thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now the fact that they're already showing like competition footage of Madden games on ESPN. And not only that, but now Counter-Strike Global Offense has its own show now where they show all the tournaments and the competitions and everything. And I think that's really cool.
Well, this is supposed to be a quick thing, so let's wrap this up here.
All right.
Because I mean that's interesting.
That's
It
what
really
Yeah,
we're
of
really
course,
going.
but-
Let us know
but
down in the
let's-
comments below, and we'll probably post another thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what,
We'll come back
absolutely.
to this.
Yeah, folks, let us know what you think about people getting paid to play video games, that are
On a competitive level.
teenagers. So, all
Keep
right,
in mind,
folks.
if you're making $50,000 a year, you're making more than half this country.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, folks. So this has been the GACC podcast for the week. You can find us on Apple iTunes and Google Play on the podcast section in audio format only. You can find us over on YouTube and VidMe in video format. And we'd like to hear from you. And Jack, I'm sure people would like to go check out your Twitch.
Yes, I stream as often as I can on twitch.tv/Mr. JackTheRipoff. Recently became an affiliate, so if you guys ever come down and decide to give me a follow, guys, it would be awesome to see your all support.
Yep. And we'll see you all later.
Laters.
See ya. Butts and boobs.
Butts and boobs.
Butts and boobs, butts and boobs, butts and boobs, butts and boobs, and butts and boobs, and butts and boobs, and butts and boobs, and butts and boobs, butts and boobs. Is that going at the end? now?
Yes, that's going at the end.
Should I start beatboxing?
Butts and boobs, butts and boobs, and butts and boobs, and boobs, butts and boobs, and butts and boobs, penis.
That's going at the end now. Yeah.
Give the camera something stupid before I start.
I think that's good, guys.
Okay.